Do you enjoy traveling with your kids? Are road trips or flying in a plane just a horrible experience? Or are they tons of fun for your family or just somewhere in between? Today, Sarah and I really wanted to take this podcast to help you have a fantastic traveling experience, making memories with your family and your kids, because it really does come down to your mindset and how intentional you are before these trips, because these kids want them to be awesome. These kids want them to be wonderful memory-making opportunities, but all too often we slip into certain mindsets that kind of undermine that goal. So we're going to give you the specific ways in which we prepare for a trip. We're even going to talk about specific games we use or different types of ways we help the kids prepare for the trip on a long road trip to make sure that these things are enjoyable. Because early on, when we did these, I was not prepared and they did not go well. And it almost caused me to not want to do any more trips. But instead, we brainstormed, how can we do this better? How can we help these trips be the awesome experiences that we hope they are, but also that we make them almost 100% likely to be those, okay? So you're going to get tons of great tips today to enjoy your summertime with your kids. If you haven't already, please like and definitely subscribe and definitely comment, all those kind of things. Find us on YouTube, find us on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok. We'd love to have you join us in all those places. We're constantly doing more content in those spaces to help flesh out even more and go deep, add more stuff to the podcast. So we'd love to have you join us, but we'd love to leave you that 5-star review if you could and some comments there. We'd love to hear your feedback on how the podcast is helping you and your family. So get ready for some helpful tips for your summer vacation.
Welcome to the Art of Raising Humans.
The Art of Raising Humans is a podcast designed to support, equip, and encourage parents on how to create long-lasting, deeply connected relationships with their kids that's free from fear and shame. Come join us on the journey.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Raising Humans. I'm Kyle.
Hi, I'm Sara.
And today we're going to talk about something fun.
Yep.
It is summertime. And I know we wanted to possibly do something like this early summer, but we're kind of getting this out about midsummer. But man, we really wanted to share with listeners some great tips on making your traveling time or vacation time with your kids awesome.
I think we travel quite a bit.
Yes.
And in that, sometimes we're flying. I think the first flight I took with Abby, she was 9 months old or something, little.
Yep.
And we've traveled, but a lot of times we're driving.
Yes.
So this is a world that we have embraced and do a lot of traveling with kids of all ages. And so I was looking forward to this one. This one just sounded kind of fun to talk about how to do that.
Yeah.
And how to do it well and have fun with it. And yeah.
Well, you know what I loved about it, Sarah, is I remember early on, we met and kind of fell in love doing some traveling, and we'd done a trip overseas to Siberia, and that's how we really, met and got to know each other. And so I wanted to travel a lot with you. And one of my fears I had was when we had kids, that would really limit our ability to do things like road trips and stuff like that. Because as a kid, my parents, we just never did that. Like to us, a vacation was camping at the local campground. And I think we went to St. Louis one time, but it was like very limited what we did when I was a kid. So I didn't really have context even how to do it poorly. We just never did it.
Well,
so I think I went into it pretty naive. And I remember that one year where we did a trip, we were doing some work to help some people in Costa Rica. And we took Abby with us on that trip. And then she was only 18 months. And right after that, we went straight from there to Colorado, right? And I was excited. I'm like, look at us. We're traveling again. We go to Costa Rica, then to Colorado. And that trip to Colorado wasn't as fun as I thought.
The drive to Colorado with a almost 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Surprising. I'm just joking about that.
Well, what's surprising to me, I thought she was going to sleep the whole way. She's not sleep the whole way.
Yeah. No. So she had moments where she didn't like being strapped in a car seat.
And she would cry and like yell, and it was driving me nuts. Yes. And so I was like, this stinks. But then the worst part was we get to the place we're staying, and we were staying with some family, and we put her to bed, and she did not sleep. Like she had a real hard time going to sleep.
Some of the tips that we're about to talk
Right. Exactly. No, because do you
needed
remember like the first night or second night in, I was about to call it quits. I'm like, we're just driving home.
yeah.
Like, I don't care how long we've rented this house. We're just going home because if I cannot sleep because she is not going to bed or keeps waking up all night, I can't enjoy this trip. So we might as well just, eject and just get out of this situation.
Fail.
Yes. So, but I say all that to say, I was in despair for a little bit and thought, okay, I guess this traveling dream is forever done. Or we can be really intentional about creating the type of traveling we want to do, right? And so one example, we'll get into some specific tips, but one example we started doing is we started making little trips up to Branson, and we'd go up there. And one of the reasons why we did that was because it's like a short 3-hour drive.
Because we wanted to.
We wanted to, but also because I wanted the kids to get adjusted to that situation.
And you get adjusted to
me get adjusted to that and knowing how to do it. And then Colorado, then the goal was let's do a few of those Branson little trips. And then when we go to Colorado, I think it's gonna be better because we'll be better equipped at knowing how to help manage it with the kids, make it more enjoyable. But it also started shifting the mindset that I had, that I very much was a type A type person, that getting to the destination is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So
quickly.
Yeah.
Without bathroom breaks.
Get there as fast as possible. I'm sure none of you have ever said that to your kids, but yes, no bathroom breaks would be amazing. But no, so as fast as possible, few breaks as possible, and getting there if the most efficient way is the best. And of course, that doesn't work with kids. So a lot of actually the frustration, it wasn't even necessarily due to what the kids were doing, but it was my mindset that needed to shift, that the journey is the point. It's actually not the destination. That getting to the destination is great, but how we get there is as important, if not more important, than whether or not we get to that place, And that was a big mind shift. And I think these things that you designed, you came up with, that we started implementing with the kids, I think really came for me from that mindset of I want to enjoy the ride. And now the kids do. When we drive to places like that, these long trips, we one time drove back from Orlando, 18-hour drive, and it was fun.
Yeah. We've done, straight guys.
Yeah.
I just stop for bathroom breaks and stuff, but we won't get into that whole story. But we have taken some long drives with our kids without hotels, and I've got to give a shout out to my parents. We did driving stuff when I was a kid. It's very rare for us to fly anywhere, and I really do think they had this approach to it of this is going to be fun. This is going to be an adventure, and they rolled with things quite a bit. And I think that did give me this mindset. I didn't even realize I had that. Hey, this is doable. This could be a good time. So I think that did kind of help me going into traveling with kids.
Yeah.
I didn't have as many.
Well, so I think that foundation is important. And I also want to say we don't use screens. Hardly ever.
Oh, yeah.
It's very limited.
That's important.
Yeah, it's very limited. We want to let you know when we travel, we don't use screens as a way to just make the time go by. And one of the not because screens are bad, but because I think screens buy into, in my mind, that previous way of thinking. That it's just about like, get through this, like get through the driving, get this over with so we can finally enjoy that. There's really like, just watch whatever you can to kind of like help you tune out, as opposed to what I loved embracing this with you was, man, this road trip could be a blast. And it's not that we're not going to watch something occasionally in a 10-hour road trip or 18-hour. It's just, we're going to be intentional about, let's just do two things, right? Yeah. And then what are we going to do with the rest of the time? And then creating that with the kids.
Yeah. I think, so I want to build a little more framework. It's not a rigidity about it. It's and it's not judgment against TV screens are bad and movies, any games, all that's bad, because we don't also want to build that into our narrative with our kids. So it's just like, how are we going to use that? But then there's so many other things. And I think it's a lost opportunity.
Yeah.
There have been times we've maybe leaned a little more into screens depending on what's going on. And then there's times we've hardly done any.
Yeah.
And that flexibility. And then knowing that if I just do screens, I lose this time of connection. There's something about connecting on a road trip and connecting in travel that's just different. And I don't want to miss that opportunity. It's a really great opportunity for us. And we've had some really, really fun moments.
Really great conversations.
And when I was asking, before we did this, I was asking our daughter about it. And just hearing from her the highlights, what she's loved about our road trips now. So anyway, I think I don't want to lose those
Yeah.
by leaning too heavy on screens.
I agree.
So that's
Well, and
part
also,
of why we do
even when
that.
we say screens, though, we're also intentional about, we have 3 kids and they all choose together what they're going to watch. You know, they're not on separate screens. So even if they watch a show for an hour and a half, 2 hours, they're all going to pick that together.
Yeah.
Right?
So then there's that little touch of connection, even if it's in watching something, there's a connecting moment.
Instead of
in
it's all
watching it
separating and watching
together.
separate
Yeah.
things and being annoyed at the other person for watching whatever they're watching. Okay. So let's start with this. So this kind of speaks to the first thing is you put down in your notes, it's mindset first. And so there's 4 aspects of that. One was, and this is what I was not expecting, but expect disruption. Everyone's going to be a little off, so don't let it surprise you. Which it sounds dumb, but it did surprise me. I was like, why are we just not having a great time driving?
I think it's like, if I say it, I feel like I'm stating the obvious.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, we need to remind ourselves that everyone's off schedule. Traveling in and of itself is stressful and tiring, even when it's fun. Even if you're going to the best place in the world, there's just this inherent mess up to your schedule and routine. And some people flow with that more than others. And you just got to be aware of, here we are. Things aren't going to always go as planned. We're all a little messed up. And just, if you're in a space of acceptance, that moment's going to go better.
Number 2 is flexibility is your best tool. All right. So loosen the grip on the schedule. Okay. Like that's where I had to loosen them. Bathroom breaks were okay. So we were able to do that. And like also, you know, if we need to stop to stretch our legs or the kids are feeling a little cramped in here, let's try to find a park instead of just go to a restaurant and like get some food, sit there, play on the playground, those kind of things.
Yeah, things can happen where we've missed flights before. But there was this thing that happened at the airport, blah, blah, blah. And so just realizing, okay, we pivot. We pivot. And I get to decide whether this is going to be a horrible moment of pivoting or if I can infuse it with some joy and laughter. And here's a story that'll be told someday, you know? So just have that flexibility in mind.
Number 3 is stay calm, use humor, and lead with connection. What do you mean by that?
Well, obviously, I want to make light of moments. I want to be playful in moments. I want to find ways to do that, to keep just that brevity of everything that's going on. And I want a lot of connection. And we've talked about connection before, so I won't dive into that, but it's always screens will deter from connection. You know, I want to find little ways to be having moments.
You know, when you say that, I'm thinking of that time we're driving back from Colorado and the car was shaking. And I didn't know what was wrong. And I pulled over and I looked, I couldn't find anything wrong. And then I continued to drive and it was still shaking. And I went out and looked and several of the like lug nuts, 3 of the lug nuts were missing on one of our back tire. And I remember my initial reaction would have been anger, would have been frustration. Yeah. Or also like, how dumb can I be to be driving a car with 3 as if somehow I would have known that and I should have seen that. And like that's, I would, how much is it going to cost me now to fix this, all this stuff?
And we're
in the middle of Kansas.
Been across Kansas, guys. It's bleak.
So how are we going to find somebody to do all that? But instead, because I stayed calm and used humor, it ended up being like quite a fun experience. I remember the guy was like 30 minutes away. He picked us up and the kids were able to like ask him who are the strangest people he's ever towed. And he had some funny stories. And I even remember he said, hey, if you pay me cash for this, it'll be, and I just so happened to have cash on me, which I typically don't. And I was able to pay him for that. So all that was, and then on the drive home, that was like a really fun experience. And it was like a neat experience to sit on the side. The weather was good. It wasn't hot
we sat in the tall grass.
We sat on the grass. And just, I got to talk the kids through what we were doing. We were laughing as we were waiting for the tow truck. And I was like, this was really cool, you know, and that was now part of that experience, you know?
My one time we got stuck in the snow, my family, when I was a kid, and my dad had to walk. I mean, guys, there were no cell phones or anything. So we sat there for a while, though. My dad eventually had to go get help. But anyway, we sat there and we just started singing and everyone's laughing. And so it's kind of one of those, we could have sat there and just thought, this is terrible.
This is miserable.
It's night. It's dark. We're in the middle of nowhere. We're in the snow, all this stuff. And instead, again, it's kind of what you can move the moment into instead of letting
shifting
it
your
be
mindset there.
this other thing.
And the last one was plan for rest and emotional resets, yours and theirs. So tell me more about that. Planning for rest.
This one, guys, we can be go, go, go.
Yes,
I don't know if you guys are go, 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 but if you are like us, I know there are moments that even if we want to do one more thing, we think we wanted to go on one more hike, we're in Yosemite or something, like, okay, no, we actually need to just pause here. We need to take a break. And we took our kids to this little river and played in the river. And just looking for those moments and being aware of, have that check-in. I'm really tired. They're really tired. Even though we're having fun, we still need a moment. Take those moments. It'll help everyone kind of refresh and be ready.
Yeah. So those are 4 steps to get your mindset in the right place. Okay. Yeah. But now I love these 3 components you have of how to be intentional before you go. Okay. So number 1, you had let kids help you plan. Give simple choices to build some buy-in to what we're doing.
Yeah.
So that's like helping your kids create the trip, helping your kids. We love watching YouTube stuff with the kids. And hey, this is where we're going to go. Here's the top things to do there. What do you guys want? So the more they take part in creating the vacation or the trip with you, the more buy-in they have, the more likely they're going to enjoy it.
Especially with teenagers, we've given our kids the job of finding some things they want to do, you plan it. But bring them in on it, find out what's really, really important to some people. Maybe it's, I want time to read or play games. Maybe it's, I want time to be at the pool or something like that. But find out what's important to them instead of just playing it all yourselves. Like sometimes we can fall into that.
Yeah. Well, because it's just easier that way, right?
Yeah.
It's just like we just think, what do we want? And then the kids are just supposed to follow along, right?
And once again, that moment of being seen, being heard, being valued is so important to our kids and our relationship.
Well, it's a lot of times like it's avoiding the conflict of us having disagreeing things, right? But we see conflict as an opportunity to come closer together, really understand each other. Okay. So number 2 on that was keep a flexible schedule. This kind of goes back to the planning for rest that you talked about earlier, but keep the schedule flexible. Structure helps. You want to have that, but don't overdo it. Don't make it so rigid that everybody's pushing against it, and like, it's almost hard to enjoy it because it's just a task to be completed. When really, once again, the point of the vacation is to be with each other and it's not just to do things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think maybe the flip side of that is if you have nothing planned, then that could also, we probably err on the side of having too much. And, but I think you can also fall on the other side where everyone's kind of going, what are we doing? What's happening?
Yeah.
So have enough of a plan, but then some movement within that.
And then this last one, you're really good at. I love how you do this with the kids. Pack with intention. So bring some comfort items, some activities, some extra clothes, and a calm mindset. So there you are so good about thinking ahead. I know one thing that a lot of parents don't do, I never thought of it till you did it, was anytime we're going on a road trip or taking a flight, you always look for 2 or 3 little, like they're not expensive, little cheap things that are just kind of novel and just new, and to them to go, oh, what is this? And then that's going to like their curiosity's piqued about, oh, I can't wait to get in the car and be able to play with this, right?
Yeah. So it started when they were really little, even just a little bottle with some little pom-pom things that they could stuff in and pull out. I'm talking like babies, where that was this putting things in and pulling out was so fascinating when you're 1 years old. But all along the way, I look for those moments, those moments where you think, we've had it where we were stuck in the car, traffic, there was some accident or something. We were just stuck sitting in a long line of traffic for an unknown time period. Yeah. Or when I can see they're tired, they're having a bit of a struggle, I pull out one of these little things and they have been, again, I think $10 is probably max. Exactly. They're really small little things, but something new. And that novel thing piques that curiosity. It piques the happy centers of the brain. And it just gives them something to focus on. So it's been a fun thing, and they always look forward to what new surprising thing is going to come out somewhere on the trip. Okay, so that was the ways to prepare before you go. Now you've got the section of here's what to kind of do on the road or in the air. Okay, so the first section you had here was entertainment. Make a family playlist and sing together. Right. Yeah. So maybe our family might be pretty unique and weird, but we like musicals and we like to sing together and do those. But also we'll give our oldest the opportunity, like you pick a traveling. Yeah. I was going to say, they always, it's not just us picking it. They're picking and saying, oh, play this one now. Yeah. And then they're sharing songs that they like. And then we're all able to learn those songs together, have fun singing those. I love that. Be silly.
use audiobooks, podcasts, or calming music for quiet time. So there are times, especially when they were littler and we wanted them to take a nap in the car or something like that. It's like, hey, let's do this, be like settle down time.
Yeah.
So we're not watching a movie during this time. We're just going to put on some classical music or some audiobook that's kind of soothing, right?
There are so many great podcasts out there for kids that have been enjoyable. We've had some story ones where they're
really
telling
great
stories.
Yeah.
Our son really loves this one about novel inventions that kids make, and so he'll listen to that. But there's different ones that are just really fun ways to all still be doing something together, engaging, but we're switching the tone, we're mixing it up, and
And then you have here, of course, going back to that, bringing a few new or wrapped items, such as toys, such as could be books. You put in here sticker books. Our kids really enjoy those, where there's reusable sticker books, or the ones where they're making art, where they're putting the stickers there. Those are fun ones that take a lot of time and a lot of focus.
Yeah, they do. And I'm gonna try to get a list and put it in our show notes of some of our kids'
that'd be great. Yes.
items.
So look for that.
So I'm gonna try to put that in there. But there's been a few that are easy. For me, I want it easy to pack. I want it light. I'm not bringing big things. I want it all to be able to go in their backpack, but things that they can pull out and do on the trip. And I don't know, is this where we have some of our games? I can't remember.
Not yet. We almost got them. And next is snacks. Don't skip snacks for games.
No.
So then we've got
I think
snacks.
everybody knows snacks are important.
I know, but I love how you bring these special treats that aren't some of them are sugary, right? They're fun, but they're not super sugary. It's not about just, but even like some traditions we do is when we go to the first gas stop, the kids can pick out,
something, which we normally do. So for our kids, that's special.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
So I usually try to, again, similar to the other things, I'll bring something a little different, something a little surprising. The other thing that's meant a lot to our kids is I pack a little container with different compartments of snacks that they always know they can just reach in and grab something. So they have we have special ones, but then we have these little packets of, and it might have some healthier things, a mix of things, strawberries, things like that, but things that they can pull out on their own when they're hungry or whatever they're feeling. Sometimes food is a nice comfort and it can be helpful on a trip.
And now we get into games. So some games that you enjoy. So you put on here, Would You Rather? Like that can be a fun kind of bonding game. It's a good way to get to know each other really well. I don't know if you put this down, I don't see it, but they had one that was like the rubberneckers game. Yeah. That was kind of fun where you're trying to get there's
rubberneckers and driving scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
And both of those have been really silly, funny games that we played. I didn't put on there, but Mad Libs.
Oh, yes. That's right.
Our kids
we like that.
Loved doing Mad Libs.
Yeah. Even just the license plate one, that was crazy. We were trying to get all 50, and then you turned it into like a school activity where once they saw the license, it didn't count unless they could all figure out what the capital of that
name the capital
at that state was, and then it could count. And then when we found Alaska and we found Hawaii, we were like,
Rhode Island.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun! So even that was.
This is a big deal.
Yeah.
We saw the license plate for Hawaii and not in Hawaii.
I know.
We have not been to Hawaii.
It was in Colorado. Somebody
had Alaska.
Yes.
What are the chances?
And so the kids were like, oh my gosh, we finally did it. I think we found all 50. So even that was like a fun one of us as a family working together. And that took up a lot of time.
Yeah, because we're talking about what we see on the road. At the same time, we're looking for license plates. So it kind of helps time go by.
And I think you also tell stories together, invent characters, those kind of creative things where we're just having fun making those up. You put in built-in breaks, like stop regularly to move, to play, to reset, let everyone stretch, breathe, regroup. And that's just kind of, I think, just being aware of that, of where I can definitely just push through it. And I can just think, I can get that mindset, let's just get there. But that's what I think is the beautiful thing about having kids. Is yes, they want to get there, but they also, when we stop somewhere, they want to be there too. And it reminds me, like, even though I have I'm looking at my watch thinking, how long is this taking? I need to slow down and just take a moment to enjoy the process. And that's really all of parenting is. It's not trying to get somewhere with them. It's about enjoying the process because you want them to enjoy that process too. And then if everyone buys into that on these vacations, then we're not all easily knocked over when things don't go a certain way.
Yeah.
Or delays are.
Yeah. And we openly talk about, okay, well, this got messed up. We can be upset about it. We can honestly, it may be frustrating. We may be tired. We talk about that, but then we also talk about it's an opportunity to decide how we're going to create this moment. or if we have to rent a car and we were going to fly or whatever it might be, vacations, things come along. And I think that's the biggest thing, is seeing as opportunity to create something and help build resilience in your kids.
Yeah. So the last two pieces of advice or wisdom you have about traveling, Sarah, is stay curious, not controlling. So you said here, when things go sideways, try asking, what's this moment needing from me? When things are, and that's even what I felt with the car and needing to get the repairs. What is this moment about? I was thinking the moment at first was, oh my God, how can I let this happen? And how we can get this fixed? Instead, it was like, wait, how are the kids ever going to know how to handle this unless they see us handle this?
Yeah.
This is a great opportunity for them to see us handle this with patience, with kindness, with humor, right? And just to really believe it's going to be okay. We'll figure this out.
Yeah.
And thank goodness we didn't die.
We can handle this moment.
Yeah, the wheel could have come off. We could have died, and we didn't. And I'm so glad we figured that out before that happened. And I'm glad now that we got the lug nuts on it. So that's an important piece. Second one is use humor and empathy to bring tension down. So there will be time, no matter how fun the trip is, people are going to be at each other's throats. People are going to be annoyed. People are going to get sick and tired of standing in line at the amusement park or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And to be able to model as adults to the kids how to use humor, how to be humble, how to be grateful, and just model that for them instead of just like giving them a lecture about it, right?
Yeah. Have grace for yourself and for each other, be gentle with each other.
Yeah. So the final point in kind of wrapping up what we started with is just remember, you're not just getting from point A to point B. You're practicing flexibility, connection, and memory making all along the way. So even the meltdowns can be moments of growth for both you and them.
Yeah.
Right. So we really hope that if you haven't taken a trip yet, I hope this extremely helps you prepare for that trip. If you already have, I'd love for you just to reflect on, maybe you did a lot of this stuff. Maybe there's some of the stuff you wish you would have done and you will implement in the future. We would love to hear from you. I'd love for you to send us an email or comments how maybe you try some of these things and it makes your road trip or your vacation where you're flying or whatever, even better one. And so we'd love to hear about those success stories because our family loves to travel.
Yeah, give us any tips that.
Anyone's you. That's great. Any games you have, we'll put in the show notes.
I'm always looking for new stuff. So
we'll try to make sure to put in the show notes some of those thoughts, but we'd love to hear yours back, and maybe we'll use yours on our next trip that we're taking. Okay. So thank you so much for listening today, and I hope you have a fantastic summer with your kids, making wonderful memories.
The Art of Raising Humans podcast should not be considered or used as counseling, but for educational purposes only.